Before God of War Ragnarok came out, there were images that were published before the game's release. And there were a lot of people who didn't like the design. Now, this video isn't about correcting those people or defending the design. There's already been a bunch of videos for that. This video is just simply appreciating the design of Thor in God of War Ragnarok. In the Norse text, there's actually not a lot known about the god's overall designs. Odin is probably the most described person as he's appeared in quite a few of the stories. And so in other media, his design's rather consistent as being an old man with a large beard, an eye patch, and maybe a giant helmet of some sort. Whilst in other media, Thor's design is usually based off the Marvel Comics version, and usually they'd be some sort of parody of a tall chiseled man with flowing blonde hair. There's other designs from other media, like Thor from Record of Ragnarok, and the only real similarity in design to the original text is just mainly the red hair. Not saying it's a bad design, I honestly really like it. I think, and a lot of other people think, that the design in God of War Ragnarok is one of the best designs for this god, especially as in the myth there's not really much to work with. There's not really a consistent description of the character, besides being mentioned that he has red hair. His design really does fit into the character. In the myth, he's described as a fighter, so immensely strong that he may be the physically strongest god in the myth. Not to mention, besides his physical strength and brawler fighting style, his appetite and drinking is mentioned time and time again. That one time when he literally drank a portion of the Earth's ocean and reduced the sea level to a noticeable amount, and how Asgardians love celebrating, and how besides fighting, Thor pretty much just eats and drinks all day. Even if his appearance isn't stated in the text, most likely a guy who does nothing but fight monsters, eats and drinks, he's probably gonna look like that. He looks exactly like one of those strong men. You know those titles of the world's strongest man and how so many men enter to gain the title? Basically almost every one of them is built the same way. It's not the looks of the muscles, it's the function of them. Almost all of them have huge guts, and Thor, who has such a huge appetite and drinks enough beer to probably kill a blue whale, a huge gut isn't surprising. I like his size too. Kratos is canonically around 6'4". The first time Thor and Kratos meet, he towers over him. He's gotta be at least maybe a foot and a half taller than him. He is intimidating, both in the game and in the mythology. And I like how in other media, gods are designed as very tall despite appearing human. It gives off a sense of power in just their size alone. That despite the fact they look human, they're not. And how in just their appearance, they look so powerful, especially compared to the humans who worship them. There are things missing that I would have liked to see. Two very crucial things Thor has besides Mjolnir: his gloves Yarngreeper and his belt Megingjörö. It's described that Thor needs his gloves to properly wield Mjolnir because of the fact that the handle was accidentally shortened. Another theory is him needing the gloves to withstand the force Mjolnir has when it returns back to his hand and being able to use its magic. There's also his belt that supposedly doubles his strength, as if his already immense strength wasn't enough. But in his fights, he looks like he's completely fine without them, which could be a display of his strength, being able to handle Mjolnir all on his own, and his strength being enough for whoever he has to fight, so there's no need for a multiplier. I think the designers did a great job. A lot of mythology in general could be up to interpretation, and people like to fill in the gaps of something that's not said or known. The people behind God of War 2018 and Ragnarok clearly had enough knowledge of Norse mythology to make 2 entire games, and so they filled in the gaps of his design, since his appearance is barely noted in the original mythology, just mainly his red hair, and I think they filled in the gaps really well. I like his armor especially, his cape, the jewelry he has, the little hoop he has to hold Mjolnir, and his giant exposed belly that has no protection. I think it's a great design choice, clearly showing his confidence in a fight by showing off such a huge potential weak spot. Not saying it is a weak spot, but it could be seen as potentially one. And even if he does get struck, it's definitely not going to hurt him either. And I also like how it shows off his Nordic tattoo designs too. A lot of people also ask about the giant cut he still has after his fight with Kratos. It's known that the gods throughout the mythologies, at least the ones in the game, have a healing factor. So why didn't he regenerate from the wound? In God of War 2018, the Leviathan axe is coated in Jormungandr's venom called Ether. It's what Jormungandr used to kill Thor during Ragnarok in the myth. So of course, the wound's still gonna be there throughout the game, as that's what venom clearly does in the real world. Even if you survive the venom bite, it's gonna leave a nasty wound that needs more time to heal from. And I think it shows how much of a fighter Thor really is. He barely even acknowledges it throughout the game, and I think it shows how tough he is, both in the myth and game. I think it shows how tough he is just being able to shrug it off, and not have to worry about it, which could be a design choice in itself, and if it is, it's a very smart one, which I really like. But overall, I think the design is amazing. Even without other crucial things like Thor's gloves and belt, I feel like his overall design really fits even without them. I would have liked to see him wearing a helmet though, at least one time. Thanks for watching. Tell me what you think in the comments. I got the links to my other socials in the description. Be kind to yourselves and each other. Thanks for watching.